Hey guys, we're back again with another killer interview. We got a local area guy here today. We're going to pick his brain. We're going to see what he likes, maybe what he doesn't like, give us some insight on his beginnings and stuff, and then maybe, just maybe, we might get him to play for us if he will, which that would be cool. So we're just going to go from there and see what happens. But the other thing I want to say before we get started is if you like what's going on here, please subscribe to the channel. This segment is called Beast Zone, but the actual channel, YouTube channel, is Beast Ochoa. So when you subscribe and then I upload one of these, you should get a notification, or you'll see it come across your deal there, and then you can go check it out. If you have anything you want to say or comments or whatever, that's cool. Likes are welcomed. So we're just going to kind of wing it here. This is just all in the raw. You know, it's just something we're just going to do. Nothing fancy. So we're just going to go ahead and just pretend we're in your living room and we're just BSing. So I've got Dave Navarro.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, buddy?
Doing well.
Awesome.
How about you?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to have you here.
Thanks,
I've heard about you. Heard some about your band and stuff, playing and stuff, and I said I got to check this guy out. And lo and behold, here he is. So anyway, so basically, what my audience likes to know, or what we kind of get into, is about what age you started, what got you into playing drums, and how you kind of progressed from there. And like I said, it's your story, so we're going to let him tell it.
Awesome. Started playing around 5 years old. My dad played in a Tejano band for...
Really?
Oh, man. Years and years, even before I was born. And then from the time I was able to walk, I was sitting behind his drum set watching him play.
Oh, he was a drummer?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a drummer as well. So sitting back there watching him play. And yeah, I would beat on stuff, but I wasn't like serious about drums. And then around 5 years old, he got me my first drum set, and I was so ecstatic, Started learning a bunch of stuff, and I didn't get real serious until probably 10 years old, 11 years old, and I started like, this is what I want to do.
Really?
It's like, I want to play, this is what I want to do.
Wow.
And man, just put in a lot of work. Played for a few bands here and there. Played for a band called In Search of Sight out of Arlington.
Arlington.
Where they
Oh,
were.
really? Okay.
Yeah.
Where did you live? Where did you live at that point in time?
I was living in Arlington at the time.
Oh, you were living. Okay, you were living.
Yeah,
in
I was.
Okay.
I would go and like tune drums at a studio down there.
Wow, that's awesome.
And
gotta know that.
Right.
You gotta know that.
And it was a lot of fun playing with them and stuff. But throughout the years, I've gone through other musicians and other bands and stuff like that, and then I landed with this band that I'm with right now, or I started it. Me and my buddy Clay, or the guitarist Clay, my wife, and then our vocalist Landon.
Okay.
We're working on getting a fifth one in there
Awesome.
now.
Okay.
Another guitar.
That's cool. Yeah.
It'll be cool.
Well, I mean, was there any other bands before this one?
Oh yeah, there was a lot of them.
Okay, I mean that's why. Like, what kind of music? I mean, did you progress in the music? Like, did you like just this, or did you say, hey, I like this?
So it started off with like 80s rock.
Right. Okay.
80s rock was real big for me.
Sure.
And then my dad showed me like Metallica. And,
oh wow.
And Pantera, and Pantera opened my world up. Opened my world up.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Vinnie Paul.
I went and I learned.
He was a legend.
Man, I learned all these 80s bands and stuff, starting real young, because I loved it.
Yeah,
I just loved playing the
absolutely.
drums.
Yeah.
And man, after like 80s rock, I kind of like ventured off into like the 90s alternative for a little bit, and then I heard Lamb of God. And whenever I heard Lamb of God, it like, well, I went through a punk phase too, where I liked like Blink-182
Sure, yeah,
and like
right.
the Bad Brains
Yeah,
and stuff like that, and which that helps with like chops and like being fast,
Yes,
before
exactly.
like getting into finding out who Lamb of God was,
There you go.
And I learned like all their stuff because I was so into them, but I didn't listen to a whole bunch of other bands that would scream and stuff like that.
Okay. Okay.
Then I got into this band called End in Agony with Chris Carroll, Jeff Catlin, and Ryan Tyler.
Okay. Now, where are you at then? Now.
I was actually living in Throckmorton, Texas at the time.
Okay.
But the band was in Iowa Park.
Okay. Okay.
So
you're
I
in
bet
this
you know
area
who
now.
Jeff Catlin is. I think he plays for like the affiliation or something like that, or the. I can't remember what their band.
I'm sure our audience knows.
Yeah. He played for Lycurgus too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I've heard of that.
But I was in a band with him with them for a while. Yes. Then I went from that band. I'd kind of started my own thing, but we didn't make it anywhere. We didn't play any shows, but we got a bunch of material written.
Okay. So it is original material at that point.
Yes, it was all original material.
But you did play covers and stuff, or you never did? Okay.
Yeah, we played some covers. It just depended on depended on what the band could actually handle at the time, because we were all still fairly young.
Yeah, but primarily you were gearing towards original music.
Yeah, I was going more towards the original,
Gotcha.
like all originals and stuff like that. We'd play a few covers, but it was mainly original stuff. And then, man, I started venturing off into more heavy stuff after End in Agony. They really opened up a lot for me, like listening to heavy metal and music like that, because they showed me Devil Driver, and the vocalist showed me Meshuggah. Meshuggah opened me up.
Really? I have to check that out.
An unbelievable amount.
Wow.
They're unbelievably technical, man. It's crazy.
Wow.
But they opened me up big time. After that band, and after the one that we were doing all the original stuff but didn't really get anywhere, I had met the guys from In Search of Sight. Okay. Well, I met the guitarist from In Search of Sight, and we weren't a band yet.
Right. Okay.
And I started playing with the guitarist, and he had met another guitarist, and he had a vocalist that he had been talking to.
Right.
We kind of got together. We didn't have a bassist at the time, but that was all original material. Every bit of it, not a single cover at all. Played for them, played with them for probably 5 years altogether, and that was a big change. That because our guitarist would write super.
Okay, so
odd time signatures.
Let me ask you this: Did you happen to record anything in that period of time?
Yeah, man. There's a lot of their music on YouTube. Okay. If you search In Search of Sight, it'd be, man, I guess it was like 12 years ago. It would have been the first and second EP that they had released that I was playing with them at the time, and then everything past then was their new drummers and stuff that they've had. But
so then where did we go from there?
From there, I kind of took a hiatus. I was doing my own thing. I'd go and post videos on YouTube. I'd like post little things here and there on social media. I played with the country band for a while, just to get it under my belt. I mean, it wasn't. It was fun.
Yeah,
we played shows, and it was a blast. Everybody, I mean, was really nice and everything.
Yeah, it always is. Like I told my other guests, I said, sometimes, it's good to venture off a little bit and play something. Not because you love it or really are into it. You might hate it.
It's good to
have. But it's good to have that in your pocket, just because of experience and a little more knowledge, and to see how that type of music, what drums need to be doing in that sense. Because it's all about keeping the beat, but there's so many different.
And it's totally different.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's just totally different. You're right.
Yeah.
And so it's good to know that and have it in your arsenal of experience. I always, I'm a big fan of that. But anyway, so continue on what you were saying there.
So like after the country band and stuff, we had started another like 90s alternative band. Okay, so there was years in between like the country music and stuff. Yeah. I'm kind of jumping forward to the bands that I was with, but I guess in my evolution, that gap between In Search of Sight and the country and 90s alternative band, there was 4 or 5 year span right there where I ventured off into all kinds of different genres. I was messing with jazz, I was messing with reggae, super I started getting into like, well, there's a lot more than just metal,
Sure.
and there's a lot more than just
Absolutely.
the stuff that I've listened
Yeah.
to. Like, I need to learn other stuff. I see all these drummers that I love, like Glenn Sobel and freaking. There's so many of them. There's so many good
Right.
drummers that
Yeah,
like,
there is.
and
It's
they don't
amazing.
play like Thomas Lang. The guy's
Yes.
unbelievable.
Yeah. Mhm.
And watching guys like that, and I'm like, man, what is it that they have under their belt, like that I'm missing? They can play the metal stuff. They can do
Yeah,
all this.
right,
Like, what is it that I'm
right.
missing?
Yeah,
Well, it's
exactly.
because they have all the other genres under their belt.
Sure.
And a lot of them have jazz background. So I
Yeah.
started looking into a lot of jazz.
Yeah. Now that's a whole nother animal
Oh
itself.
my gosh.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying.
For sure.
There's just so much stuff out there that you could learn to hone your precise,
Yeah.
uh,
Man, I didn't even say it. Like, I can't believe it. I'm a huge Neil Peart fan, and I
Sure.
have been
Who
since I was a baby.
Yeah,
Like whenever
right.
I found out
Oh,
what
yeah.
drummers were, like
Dude, 2112 just blew my mind, and I just thought, golly, that is the most killer drummer fills and playing that I've heard in a long time.
Unbelievable.
And it was just, I played that over and over, and it was
oh
just like,
yeah.
I mean, it
Oh,
was
I
like
still
a
listen to
concept
it.
album. It's great, dude. It
Oh,
was great.
man.
It really was. That kind of like, it's kind of like he was kind of like Eddie Van Halen to guitar players.
Yes.
He introduced kind of a whole nother vibe with his his playing
For
skills
sure.
and stuff that you noticed.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I mean, you have bands and bands, and they're
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
run of the mill, and then here he comes along, and you're like, wait a minute, let me hear
Well,
that again.
Rush was super underrated if you
Well,
look
sure
at
they
like
were.
what they did.
Sure.
Oh man, John Bonham, another one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
He's
cute,
definitely one of
cute.
my favorites. I got him.
Oh,
hanging
the
right
dude's
there.
incredible.
These are two of my favorites: Peter Criss, John Bonham. Those are like
He was an evolution in drumming,
Yeah.
man. That guy.
Yeah,
Oh man.
that's what I'm saying. It's just amazing
Yes.
how many talented musicians that you could inspire from when you're growing up
Oh,
and listening
man.
to music stuff. Did you ever go back in time as far as did you ever like any music like further back? I mean, how far back would you say you went where you kind of like, nah, I don't like this kind of stuff?
Well, I never stopped liking music.
I mean, like back to like say Elvis, '60s, The Doors. I mean, did you go that far back?
I
or-
did,
You
yeah.
Okay.
I listened to a lot of really old stuff as well, and it was kind of in the same era of me being really young, and I listened to a lot of Tejano music back then. So I know how to play Tejano music.
Mhm.
I watched it. I watched
Yeah,
it
yeah.
live
I
so
actually
many
played
times.
in a Tejano band for 2 years, and then a Tejano Christian band
It's
for
fun.
1 year, and it was different playing. But
It is.
once I started playing it, it sounded so simple and basic. But you could add a couple of little things here and there. But it was fun because you had the horns.
Yeah.
I had keyboards, and it was like a full band.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, man, this is really cool.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
I was used to playing with a guitar player and a bass player, and maybe one of us might try to sing. But when you play with like an ensemble of musicians,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a whole nother
Bassist,
category.
2 guitarists, a keyboard
Yeah,
player,
right. Yeah.
a freaking accordion
Accordion,
player. You
yeah.
got a horn, a trumpet
Oh, yeah.
player. I mean, man,
It's
it's
cool.
It's got to be a different.
I
beast.
enjoyed many of those years playing Tejano music. I really
Oh
did.
man.
So as far so in this time frame that you're moving through, how many drum sets do you think did you have like one set and it stuck with you all the time, or did you kind of like buy and sell and trade?
I had
how did you
a
do it?
Thomas Superstar for a very long time,
Okay.
and then I got another Tama, an Imperial Star after that because my Superstar was in a fire.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, my house burned down. We
Oh,
lost all
shit.
that stuff, but
Sorry. to hear that.
no, it's okay, man. But then I got the Imperial Star, played on the Imperial Star for a good long while. Then I got it was a Percussion Plus kit, but it was a 12-piece. Actually, Chris Hunt
Mm-hmm.
is the one that, he was like, you need this, buddy.
Yeah.
You know, and my
typical salesman.
yeah, and my parents were like, oh, I don't know. He's like, no, you can get a good price on this. He
Yeah.
needs this, and
Yeah,
I played on
right.
that kit for.
That's awesome.
Well, that's the kit I was playing on whenever I was playing for the metal band up in Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Awesome.
And after that, I got another Thomas Superstar, and that got stolen from me.
Wow.
But
Dang it.
that's okay. And then I got a D drum kit.
Right.
after that, and that's what I'm playing on currently.
Okay.
It's a D drum hybrid kit.
Okay, hybrid kit.
So I believe
So
it's
the shells
the
are-
older one. They're made of maple, I believe.
Okay, so they're maple shells.
Yeah, I believe.
Okay.
I believe.
Okay.
I've been playing on them for 7 years.
What's the configuration?
So, well, it's a 6-piece kit, but sometimes I leave out my other floor tom, and
Sure.
I don't set it up like bam bam with my floor tom. I set floor tom and then floor tom.
Oh, okay.
And then I've got a little side
Sure.
Ludwig side snare right
Yeah,
here.
Yeah, awesome.
Cowbell right here.
Yeah.
My rack toms,
Okay.
and then my other floor tom.
Like 10, 12, and 13, or 8?
10, 12, 14, and 16.
Okay.
And then a 20 by 22 bass drum.
Okay,
That
yeah.
thing is a cannon, dude.
Yeah, that's
I
what this is.
love it. Oh,
20 by
they're
22.
fantastic.
That was my first.
D-drum likes doing that.
I know. When I saw that, I'm like 20 by 22. I'm like, golly, that's got to be cool. And I was like,
that's
that was
so
one of
great.
my draws when I bought this first.
Oh, yeah.
drum. But yeah, I know what you're saying there. That's cool. So what was you rocking on cymbals? What do you like a particular
So
brand?
I'm a big Minimalist guy.
Okay,
I
okay.
love Minimalist cymbals. There was a long time where I couldn't afford them,
Right.
and I used Stag.
Okay, I've heard of Stag. Yes, Stag.
cymbals.
Yes.
Handmade B20
Yes.
bronze cymbals.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they're great cymbals.
Yeah.
Very underrated. I mean, honestly, I think they're underrated cymbals.
I had
They're
a little
fantastic.
14 China Crash Stag, and it was one of the best sounding things. Just
Oh
to kick,
man,
you
it's
know.
crazy, and they're durable, man. I
Yeah.
still have the cymbals
Do
with
you?
no cracks in them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've still got them.
Mine. Okay.
Yeah,
Sounds
but
good.
I'm a big Mino guy. I'm in the process of getting a full or a half and half of classic custom darts
Yeah.
and pure alloy customs.
Okay.
Pure alloy customs are high dollar.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm telling you, man, cymbals
Oh,
are like
I mean,
gold.
like, yeah, obviously.
Like gold,
Yeah, that's.
it's a lot of chunk of change to, and it's not just for one. I mean, you gotta have more than one, of course.
I don't even want to hear a guitarist complain about something being expensive, man.
I know, right? No way, no. We're buying like bars of gold, dude. I'm serious.
Oh, I mean,
It's like-
if you think about it, each cymbal is its own individual instrument.
Exactly. Oh yeah, because the sound
Yeah.
it produces.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing.
And that's the greatest thing about cymbals to me, and I'm a huge cymbal guy.
Yeah.
Dude, you could leave me with a snare drum, bass drum, and 30 cymbals. I'm gonna be a happy son of a gun, dude.
Yeah. I know what you mean there.
What I love so much about them is that no matter if you get one from the exact same line, the exact same size and everything, they don't sound the same.
No, they got a certain quality or tone.
I mean, they're
that's-
close,
Yeah,
but
but
there's differences in them.
there is, and then then you got your weight differences. Medium, thin.
I'm a
Heavy,
big
and
medium
stuff
thin
like that.
guy.
So it just kind of tailored to what kind of sound you're doing. But it's good to have an array of cymbals. Definitely.
For sure.
It's always because you might be playing somewhere that you don't need 19-inch crashes. Just do
Yeah.
16-inch crashes.
For sure.
So it's good to have an arsenal of cymbals for sure if you can afford it.
Yes, if you can afford it.
Yeah, if you can afford it. So, are you a double pedal guy or are you a single pedal guy?
I'm a double pedal guy.
I would say you'd have to be if you listen to the heavy stuff you're talking
So,
about.
I mean, that goes back into kind of the evolution of drumming. I got into playing double pedal early.
Okay.
And then I met this gospel drummer. I cannot remember his name. But I met him whenever I lived in the DFW. And I heard, because in the studio that I was at all the time, they had jam spaces there.
Yes.
And I heard drums coming from this room one day, and I was like, "Where is that coming from? This is awesome sound." And I follow the sound, and I walk in there, and this guy's got a snare drum, a floor tom, a hi hat, and a kick with one ride cymbal, and he's making it sound incredible. And I'm like, dude, I'm sorry for intruding, but you sound awesome. And we got to talking to each other and stuff like that. And he let me play on his kit, which I love playing on other people's kits.
Absolutely. Yeah, it does.
And he tells me, he's like, what you need to do is go minimal. He's like, limit yourself to a snare drum, bass drum, and hi-hat.
Yes.
No crashes, no toms, anything for a year. He's like, of course, if you're playing like shows and stuff like that, he goes, carry your kid over there.
Sure.
Obviously.
Yes.
He's like, but practicing alone, limit yourself. Don't make it sound like you've got a lot more going on.
Drums going on. Yes,
So and I took that to heart, man, and I went for, man, there was probably 2 years whenever I would just practice by myself. It was bass drums, hi-hat, and snare drum. And I learned to,
yeah.
like, I would use the hi-hat as a crash.
Yeah,
and stuff,
exactly, yeah.
And then play my fills on the snare drum.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a huge change, and I would recommend that to any drummer.
Sure, absolutely.
Like, if anybody that I ever teach and stuff like that, because I teach people too.
Yeah.
And anytime that I get an opportunity to teach somebody, I'm very minimal.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, because like I said, it's basic, and it makes your mind think more, because you're like, okay, I only got two things to make this work. How can I get the most sound out of these two things? And I've heard drummers play just a couple of drums, and it's like, man, I mean, they make it sound like it's a full kit.
I know. Exactly.
It's amazing. It really is amazing. I actually saw a guy play just it was a crash and a snare, and he was in a country band.
Yeah.
And you'd never know that if you didn't see him, you thought he was playing.
You wouldn't have thought
all kinds of stuff. You're like, wow, because he'd take the snares off, and then it sounded like that's that bongo-y sound or timpani sound or whatever, and then you put it back on, so it's like he sounds like he's got more drums, but if you look at him, you're saying, how is he doing that with all?
For sure. Have you ever heard of Matt Halpern? Oh, great. Plays for Periphery. You ought to check him out sometime. He's another one that's a minimalist drummer, but whenever he plays live, he has more drums.
Sure. Yeah.
But he's got a lot of videos online of floor tom, snare drum, hi-hat, and one crash.
Okay.
And it would blow your mind. You got to watch it. It's cool.
I will. So the band you're in now, tell me about this band.
We're called Brass Skulls.
Okay.
It's kind of a inside joke how that name came up.
I'm like, Brass Skulls, that sounds kind of cool. I wonder how they come up with that.
So the way that name came up is me and my vocalist and I would, he called people Brascal, like,
okay,
you Brascal. And I was like, so I kind of caught on to it, and we'd call each other Brascal all the time and stuff like that. And we were trying to find a band name, and we couldn't find it. And our vocalist Landon was like, "Oh yeah, Brass Skulls," like Brascal, and we were like, "Hey, wait a minute, let's do that."
Yeah.
And then it just kind of stuck.
Yeah, that's cool, dude.
We thought about a name change and stuff, and then we got to a certain point where it's like, but we've got fans now that like to watch us, and we can't go and change.
Go backwards. No.
Yeah, so
no, it's a cool name. It really is. I mean, you can do a lot of things with that. Skull, brass. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with that. So that's really cool. I always wonder how I was thinking, how do you come up with that? So tell me about your people that play in this band.
So the bassist is my wife.
Okay.
Her name's Sam.
Was that just something that?
Okay, so we've been together 15 years, me and my wife, and she didn't play an instrument when we met.
Right.
It was whenever my dad passed away that she watched the band that I was in at the time play.
Okay.
Which was made up of pretty much the same members that are in the band now, except for our guitarist was our bassist at the time, and we had two other guitarists that aren't in the band anymore.
Okay.
But our vocalist was the same back then.
Right.
We didn't do a whole lot back then. We played a couple of shows, but not a whole lot, and then the band kind of split.
Okay. Right.
And so anyways, my wife, her little brother got a bass guitar for Christmas, and she was like, "That looks like fun," and she picked it up. That was 5 years ago.
Really? 5 years ago.
And she picked it up and started playing, and she was like, "Hey, I think I can do this." And then she was like asking me one day, what should I learn? And I was like, "Oh yeah, learn Free Will by Rush." And she was like, "Yeah, okay." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, go ahead, try to do that." I come home the next day and she's got a quarter of the song learned. I'm like, "That's Geddy Lee, man! Like, what the heck?" I'm like, "You can do this."
That's awesome.
And she just kind of took off from there. That woman just loves playing bass.
That's awesome.
All day, every day. Plays it anytime she can.
So tell me, what kind of music y'all play?
We play like 90s alternative. We play some 70s rock, like some Pink Floyd, stuff like that. We've got other stuff in the works as well.
Cool.
We've got originals as well. We're wanting to get to where we're playing more of our originals, because we've got a lot of them, but nobody knows us around here, and I would kind of like to, throw in some of our originals with a bunch of covers.
Well, yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, okay, Brass Skulls, these guys are cool. Oh man, I like that original."
It's always good to do that, just a little bit at a time, and then the next time you play,
add another one. Yeah.
And then sooner or later, the people will remember that and say, "That's one of their songs. That's cool."
For sure.
And if they like it, then they're gonna definitely hey. Y'all play some more. Y'all got some more, whatever. But that's good. So, I mean, have you played in this area in Wichita Falls?
Yeah, we played Legends Roadhouse for a benefit last year, I want to say.
Okay.
And after that, or at that show, I met Clint Vines, and Clint Vines was like, "Hey, man, like, we should get together and we should book a show together and play a show."
Right.
I'm like, "Cool." You know, that was kind of our beginning.
Yeah.
And then the next show that we got here in town was at the Iron Horse.
Okay.
Playing with the Escape Ghosts.
Yes.
I was like, "Oh man,
that's awesome.
cool, man. This is cool." And played that show. We played Busted in Baylor County after that show. We had a little bit of a break in between where we were still practicing, but we weren't booking any shows.
Sure.
There was just a lot going on with our guitars. He had work, yada, yada, yada.
I mean, do you plan on doing more shows here?
We plan on doing a lot more. We actually have one coming up next Tuesday.
Okay. Where's that going to be?
26, I think it's due. Or it might be 29.
Okay.
You have to check our Facebook page for that one. I can't remember.
I was going to tell you.
But it's on Tuesday at Bud Daniels Park.
Okay. I was going to tell you if you have any social media, anything that has your music or anything that you'd like to share.
Yeah, for sure. We have.
Tell us.
If you go to our band page on Facebook, search Brass Skulls, our band page will pop up. You can go on there. We've got our live videos on there, and we're in the process of working on getting some of our originals recorded in a studio. But for now, there's no release date on when anything's going to happen, but
it's in the works. So that's good. You know, I always like bands that do originals. I really do. I've only been in a couple original bands, and I think I love that better atmosphere. Just because I can be creative, and if we do recording, you can say, that was pretty good, whatever. But originals, every band should have something.
Oh, I agree.
Something.
I agree.
But just how it is.
Keep an ear out, man. We've got some stuff in the works. It'll be cool.
I was going to ask you, did you bring any sticks today?
I did bring some sticks.
Okay, I was wondering. I wonder if you brought some sticks. All right, what are you rocking on sticks?
I like to use I've been on ProMark, the hickory for a very long time.
Let me see that one. I think actually.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the ProMark. I think I've used a set of these.
So 5Bs.
5B. So you're a wood tip guy.
Wood tip.
So you don't like nylon tip?
No, that's not necessarily the case. The stick definition of a nylon tip is there's nothing else like it. But I don't know the feel of the actual, the way that the wood tip just feels. I like the way that it feels more. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
it's got a little bit warmer of a tone on the tones and stuff like that as well.
We talked about that with my other guests. We talked about the wood versus the nylon, and so it's just a preference. It's like anything that's a preference.
For sure.
Do you have any particular heads? What kind of heads do you use?
I like to use Evans EC2s on my toms.
Yeah, very good choice.
And then I like to use the Evans G1s as my resonant heads.
Yes.
My bass drum's a Evans EMAD 2.
Right.
And then my resonant for my bass, I use an Aquarian. Can't remember which model of it is. I've had it for a really long time with the kick port, like an actual kick port system where the sleeve slides onto the back side of it. And, love that. And then my snare drum, for a good while now, I've been stuck on the Aquarian high velocity head.
What's the surface?
It's like it's textured. But it's a black
Oh,
snare drum
okay,
head.
yeah. Okay.
It might even be single ply.
Is it like a cross? I mean, is it like threads kind of?
Oh,
or is it
no. It's just solid.
Oh, okay.
But it's like textured. It's like a textured head,
Yes.
And then I've kind of moved around Evans as well. I've tried the hybrid head for the snare. I've gone through a bunch of different snare heads, but I've always ended up going back to the high velocity head.
Yeah.
And I never see anybody playing it. I never see anybody using it.
I have to check that out. I don't even think I've ever heard of that. High velocity.
Yeah, the Aquarian high velocity.
Okay, I have to check that out. There's just so much. I mean, I'm telling you, back in the day, we were very limited on what we could, what was available to in the 70s. And it's just amazing that the array of stuff that a drummer I mean, equipment and just heads and cymbals and I mean, it just
There's
exploded,
a
dude.
lot that comes into play.
But you got to find like, well, let me try this out. Let me try this out.
For sure.
And I mean, it's cool that people and a lot of times when I go see bands, I'll notice there's some cymbals or a certain brand other than the Zildjians or the Pisces.
For sure.
And I definitely give it a listen, and I'm like, man, they sound pretty damn good.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
I mean, so there is other quality things out there that you definitely should look into.
Oh man, and there's different lines of cymbals and stuff that I absolutely love from other ones. It's just Meinl's kind of been digging me in,
There ain't nothing wrong with that. That's what I'm saying. The selection is amazing. You heard it, Dave Navarro. Maybe we can talk him into playing. I see he's got the sticks. So let's see if would you mind playing?
I would love to.
Jamming out.
I'd love to. I got one more thing to say
Sure,
real
absolutely.
quick. I recently got asked to play for Clint Vines and the Hard Times.
Mm-hmm.
I got to fill Billy Pennington's shoes.
Oh, okay.
That's a hard one to fill.
Yes, Billy's
So,
killer.
I just wanted to make that little announcement, and because nobody really knows yet. So.
Okay, so you got to do some rehearsal, and then you got some dates.
There's no dates officially right now. Hopefully, sometime next year, like. Me and Clint have been talking, and stuff like that. We'll have practices here soon and stuff like that. He's sent me lists and to learn and all that. So
we'll see. I mean, you're good enough to be, say, hey man, we need a cool killer drummer. I mean, that's awesome. That's what I'm saying.
That's a huge honor.
When you go with your experience and all your chops from your back in the day when you were learning stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then you go to a whole new environment. You like, okay, what are we gonna do, or what's on tap, and it's just really cool to be in different situations.
For sure.
And just kind of say, hey, and it's always cool to be around musicians that you get along with, you share the same common, topics and themes and stuff of what you want to do, what you might want to do, and stuff like that. And it's just a real good atmosphere to be in. That's why I've always liked playing drums and being in bands, because every time I'm with bands, it's always cool people, that like the same stuff I do.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the way it should be. But anyway, without further ado, let's hear some.
I'd love to.
Just rock out like there's no tomorrow.
Thanks, man.
Dave Navarro. Let's check this guy out. I bet you he's badass.